Hey everyone, Brad here, and thanks for joining me today. So, what we're going to be doing is talking a little bit more in depth about how we can utilize workshops as a health practice owner in order to stimulate new patients to your practice and the right types of new patients who are going to be able to pay premium rates. You're not going to have to discount, and ultimately, you're going to get people that you enjoy and are more passionate in dealing with. So, in terms of workshops, I really have found a lot of success when I was a solo practitioner and even moving into a larger seven-figure based clinic. Utilizing workshops continuously on a regular basis is one of the keys that really builds a community and helps to establish yourself as a preeminent practice. And people are all obviously going to start flocking a little bit more to you and seeing you as the expert in your community for the specific niche that you've focused on. So I'm going to share my screen here with you guys, and we're going to take a little look at our overall omnipresence marketing model. So if you haven't seen this before, essentially this is what I work with in terms of my practice and the clients that we work with on getting their marketing strategies going so that ultimately they're getting the right types of patients, generally 20, 30 plus patients per month coming in, as well as being able to retain them. So if you want to learn a little more about this, there's some information on the website, or you can send me a DM and I can send you the outline of the space program. So what we're going to be taking a look at today, and bear with me, I'm on my laptop. I'm traveling a little bit this week, so testing it out on my laptop instead of my nice setup at home. We're going to be taking a look at doing this section down here of workshops. So as you can see, we've got a bunch of different things on here. We've talked about some of the other aspects in terms of reactivation, referrals, AdWords and Facebook and so on. So we're primarily focusing on this section here. We do use some of the other aspects here in order to help promote our workshop. So for the workshop, the main objective really is to be able to, one, establish yourself as the preeminent authoritative figure for the patients that you're treating. Number two, you're getting a community of both your patients, past patients, prospects, and so on into one room together with a common goal of overcoming a specific issue or addressing a specific problem that they have. So you really want to be able to maximize your time with those patients and prospects. So the patients that have had really good results from you, I like to leverage those relationships. And when there's new people who have came in who maybe have not booked with you before, or not entirely sure how you do things, or they've thought about it, whatever it might be, or they could be just be a colleague or friend from the colleague itself, we want to make sure that they're feeling like secure and they're safe, and there's actually like a good family vibe here. And we want the workshop to be less intimidating for people to walk in, because obviously a big problem that most people face is they put out a workshop, they've got really good intentions, and then either no one shows up or they've got a very small percentage of people. And often that happens because if they're prospects, people sometimes just say, you know what, are they going to sell me something? Am I going to be embarrassed? Are there going to be other people there? Am I going to get my questions answered? There's a lot of things going through their head. So you want to be able to really address, to start, your ideal prospects, getting them connected with the patient so they can start sharing some of their stories. I like to do this by actually starting the promotion about 2 to 3 weeks in advance and having a whole email-based chain, as well as we leverage the front desk admins to be able to contact the people who have signed up in order to build value, build a connection, relationship, and make sure that's going to be a good time, and also so that we're obviously staying on top of mind so someone doesn't decide they're going to go watch a Netflix show instead of coming in and addressing their little back pain or shoulder, whatever it is. So the big thing here is we want to get people in. We want to establish our credibility, authority, and our expertise, and what we call preeminence. So people start seeking you out, and we want to make sure that everyone is there on the same page, and they all feel like they've got a community vibe. It's way more likely people are going to show up. It's way more likely that people are going to be committed to going through the same process or plan of care for the services that you're offering. And it's going to be a lot easier for you to book evaluations or so on after. Because ultimately, you're really doing the workshop to get new patients. As much as we do like to help people, we can only help so many people. And as I made a post about it last week about individualization. We really need to spend time with someone to understand. So there's only so much that we can really give in terms of insight. So a couple things that we really look for that are common mistakes about why people end up not getting the right turnout or patients from the actual workshops, and then they end up getting discouraged and maybe not doing them. The first thing is you've got to be really consistent. So if you are planning on doing workshops, I like to say do them at least every 4 to 6 weeks and stick to it, because the first couple ones are going to take a little bit of trial and error. And we've got a template and framework that we use, so it'll help accelerate your process. If you want help with it, just send me a message, and I'll get to you on the frameworks. But when you're kind of learning and you're doing it yourself, there's some trial and error. And the first couple times I ran workshops, I didn't quite understand why people didn't come, or sometimes they came and sometimes they didn't. A lot of the time it came down to consistency. So I needed to make sure that I planned every 4 weeks I was going to do a specific workshop. And I started to, the first one I really did, I talked a lot about the low back. And it took me about 2-3 months to start getting somewhere between 15 and 20 people coming in. Sometimes I'd have 5, sometimes I'd have 10. It was really all over the place. But consistently telling and marketing that workshop's going to happen the same time every single month was a huge, huge thing. The second big mistake is they make it about you. And it's always like we've got tons of information that's really, really good that we really want to share, but we end up presenting it in a way that the patient or the prospect doesn't really even understand how it relates to them. So it's great that we're going to be talking about, let's say, shoulder pain. We want to go into the details of how the movement works of the shoulder joint and the muscles and the names and the intricacies and all the biomechanical considerations or the neurological adaptations and so on. But the reality is the patient doesn't understand. So we're making it more about speaking on our terminology and how we see things instead of how the patient does. And the easy way to explain this is think outside of what you do. If you go to buy a car and you don't know anything about cars, and the salesperson is telling you about the displacement of the engine and the brakes do this and that and so on, it doesn't really matter. You might just say, listen, is the car reliable? Is it getting me from point A to point B? Is it good on gas mileage? If I get in a crash, am I going to die? Like, people are going to ask you those questions. The same thing patients want to understand. They really want to know what's in it for me. So if they're coming to get shoulder pain advice, they're going to want to know what's in it for me. So if you start positioning your workshop and making it about, listen, if you're coming here, you're going to learn 2 to 3 exercises that are going to be the best exercises to help overcome your shoulder pain and stiffness. And when you do these exercises, you're going to be able to get back to, lifting stuff off the shelf or playing volleyball or whatever the specific the topic of the workshop is. So make sure that you're connecting it to a goal specifically for what the patient or prospect has been looking for. And again, don't keep it very broad. Don't say, I'm doing pain relief. It's too broad. Pick a topic and cycle them. So I'll do low back pain, for example. I like to do a low back pain one in kind of April, May, generally because the weather's getting nicer in Toronto. So people start going golfing, they start being more active, and because they didn't do anything all winter, they end up starting to have more problems. So I do a knee pain and back pain then. So depending on where you are located, you can kind of offset depending on what topics make the most sense. If you're in a heavy ski population, it might be really beneficial for you to address common problems that people have with ski and do skiing and do a workshop on that. In the frameworks, we have, I share with you the template that I've utilized that I've had really good success with in more northern states or Canada, like where I'm from, and also in other areas where I've had clients that we've kind of tested and found out what things work the best. So give me a shout or send me a DM if you want help with that. So again, really make sure that these workshops are specific to the patient and the prospect. And think, if I was to take time out of my day to come see you, what am I going to get out of it? And if you can teach me 1 or 2 exercises that are going to really help, or 3 exercises that are really going to help, you're going to give me insight in terms of how I can overcome my problem so I can get on the right track. Excellent. I also like to include something like where, we've got some sort of food. I connect with the, you'll see in here, we talk about partnerships. I like to have community-based and synergistic partnerships, and sometimes even value add in these workshops so I can leverage the other relationships that I have there as well, provide more value to the patients, make them feel more at home in a better culture. So the third really big thing that we see is the promotion. And often what happens is people will do something like, well, I put a flyer out, or I went to my chiropractor and I handed out some cards, or I posted in a Facebook group. The reality is that you're doing a marketing strategy to get these people, ideally prospects or past patients, back in to see you to book. We're not doing this just to have, fun, so to speak. We're doing this to build our practice, because ultimately we need to help more people. We need to make more income. So the promotion needs to be marketed in a way that we would do just to get new patients. So if we're doing, there's different aspects that we can start to combine, online, offline, and partnerships, in order to maximize the turnouts and help with the consistency and getting the right people in. So I like to leverage all of three of these sources to be able to drive traffic to these workshops. Generally, we do about 25 to 30, depending on if there's a lot of movement and so on. We cap them off, and we are consistently able to hit those 25 to 30 people attending every single time, because we're constantly promoting through these online, offline, and partnerships. So I'll give you a brief little example of this. And if you have more questions, comment below or send me a question. Again, we go through exactly how to execute a workshop in the module for workshops. So online sources, if you're looking at free, where it's an easy way to start, posting in local Facebook groups is really advantageous. And because you're not selling anything, a lot of the time in local Facebook groups, you're able to, so I'll draw this over here. So hopefully you can read that. I was using the wrong side of the pen, sorry. So we know that says local Facebook groups. So if we post in local Facebook groups, because we're not really promoting anything or selling anything, we're able to reach a bunch of people generally during the week. And you're not going to be pissing people off too much, because you're giving general information, not selling anything. I like to reach out to the page admins just to say, hey, I'm in this area. This is what I do. This is who I help. I'd love to be able to connect with you, so we can best serve the community and really make it about the community, because ultimately that's what we're trying to build here. It also helps you to start building these relationships with other people who are going to be able to give you leverage in that. I also do like to use paid ads for Facebook. I'll do things like retargeting, people who've went to the website or past patients and that type of stuff, as well as just doing a local ad promoting the workshop that's going in. Realistically, we don't spend that much money. We might spend $5 to $10 a day on promoting it if need be. We don't really do a lot of it now, because we have enough leverage between the partnerships and our list that we can get enough people. But in the beginning, I did use paid in order to accelerate that process. And some of the clients that we work with can get a little bit better result, especially if they don't have that audience to begin with. In terms of offline, a lot of the time you can start promoting this to people that you've got as current patients. I like to use something as like a direct mail campaign. You can use something like Vistaprint and make a little postcard up and send it for really cheap. And I think we order maybe like 500 of those postcards when we were first trying to get traction, to past patients, current patients, and prospects where we had their contact information. They may have came in for a consultation or, but not fully booked a plan of care. So we would send those out, and it only costs a couple $100 in order to get those patients, to reach a bunch of patients. You don't need to spend a ton of money. You could get 100 postcards and send them to past patients, prospects, give them to your current patients to give to their colleagues, friends, family, that type of thing. It's just another way to reach people. So if they don't see your stuff on social, they're going to be able to see it into the mail, for example. Partnerships is a really, really good way to get people to come in. And the easiest way to start is look at your current patients. So who are your perfect patients right now? Who are the people who refer already, who pay the premium, they always rebook, they do their homework, they're the people you are passionate and you love working with. Who are those people? And I would go to those people and I would ask them for referrals. We've got this workshop coming up. Do you have any family members, friends, who you feel would really benefit from this? I'd love it if you can connect me with them. Then you're going to end up getting, most of the time they're going to want to help you. And apparently I can't draw down here. Sorry. Give me one sec. Sorry, guys. Now we got a little smiley face. Hopefully that was worth it. So this should be able to drive some people to you. And it's an easy, cheap, free way to be able to do it. You're seeing the patients already. It's an easy way to promote it. You could give them the postcard that you printed in on Vistaprint or Staples or wherever you got it from. Print it even just in your own printer if you really wanted to, and sign the piece of paper. There's lots of different ways to do it, but starting with your perfect patients is really easy. The next thing to do is look at who are you synergistically set up with, value add based partners and community. I like to get these people involved and get them to refer, because they all will have people and can benefit from the leverageability of doing your workshop. If you want some help with that, like I said, there's the entire workshop on how to execute workshops to get new patients per month from it on on autopilot is laid out completely in there. So we won't go into too much detail because we don't have a ton of time today. But if you want some help with that, just give me a shout. All right, so we're going to get over here a little bit. And the next thing that we're going to really see is about what people have problems with. Apparently I have a problem with my, what's going on over here? Click that. Sorry, just give me a sec. There we go. Sorry. I told you in the beginning, my laptop, I was 100%. Usually I use my my setup at home. So the next really, really crucial thing is the follow up. And I was speaking with a client of mine even just a couple of days ago, and we talked a little bit about this. And one of the big questions I asked is, in terms of follow-up, do you have any systems in place that after the workshop, what happens? And this is a huge step that most people, they lose out on. They'll get 30 people who say they're going to come, maybe 10 people show up, and they completely forget about the other 20 people. It's a huge opportunity to reach back out to those people and engage them and give them some of the content to get them into your world. So having a follow-up system is absolutely crucial in capturing. For example, I was working with a massage therapist. You've seen some of the case studies that I've done, more than likely. There's one on the website where she started introducing workshops into her practice, doing post-pregnancy based care. And she ended up getting more people signing up from doing the follow-up processes on some months than she did from the actual workshops themselves. Or she would have someone who said they were going to come, and for some reason they didn't. They got busy, didn't want to come. They were too nervous. Like a million things could have happened. But because she followed up with them, gave them a call the next day. Hey, I hope everything's okay. I see you missed a workshop. I'd love to be able to connect with you and see how we can best help you on your journey post-pregnancy and getting you out of low back pain and getting rid of migraines. Depending on which one specifically she was working with. Generally, she works with low back pain and migraines. And she would get a lot of responses back 2-3 weeks after the workshop. Sometimes they would, the prospect would even come to the following workshops. It just took time to warm them up. So having a follow-up system is absolutely crucial. I like to utilize ActiveCampaign or Infusionsoft in order to automate this process. So if you're a solo practitioner, you can use these CRM-based systems to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. So it can send the emails, text messages. You can even pre-record voicemails that it will send them a voicemail to remind them about coming. After they came, they go into a list that will say, hey, follow up, this person didn't come to the workshop. And then we have a whole other email chain, text messages or calls and so on. I like to use the front desk in order to call because we've got them available. But if you don't, the CRM will send you a message. You could pre-record and send it out. So it'll save you a lot of time. The follow-up is absolutely crucial. And in my experiences has been huge. We've gotten a lot of people coming back and getting help. And you just got to realize, sometimes people forget. If you don't have a good system that we talked about in the beginning with being consistently emailing them or reminding them that this workshop's coming up and providing the value as number 2 about making it about them, what they're going to get out of it, then you're going to have a lot of people starting to fall off. So really including the follow-up based system is huge. In terms of there's a couple things that I really like to have. The first is that you're going to need in order to have success is your intro. So when someone opts in, So let's say they opt in, having an intro of welcome, to my world or my practice. This is who I help. This goes through with the USM, our messaging that we work out in module number 2. We like to say, this is who we help, generally have a video of this stuff. And then a little bit about like a Q&A almost. So, what am I going to get in the workshop? How are you best going to help me? What are my options for help? This is where the location is. This is how to RSVP and all that type of stuff. So an email is a good source to be able to have this just to confirm. Then what you're going to have here, scroll out a little bit. Oops. Sorry, guys. I'll have it good next time. All right, get back in here. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to have is our introductory-based email. Our next one is going to be, I like to use case study-based email, where either I use a video or I have text that talks a little bit about, okay, these are the benefits that one patient who's went through this program had before. So if I've had someone and I'm doing a workshop on low back pain, I've had someone have really good results, document that result, and you're going to be able to use that in one of the emails. It helps build a little bit more credibility, and they're hearing it from other people. Sometimes they're going to see people in the community. The template for this is we go through setting up testimonials so that they're going to be positioned properly to get the best result in terms of generating new patients and so on. That's in module number 8 for refer. We generally have another email that's going to outline a reminder. Then we've got kind of splits into 2 sections here. Did they come or did they not? If they came, I like to be able to, say the thanks and give the offer that I'm going to be providing in the workshop. So we didn't really touch on it too much, but obviously you're going to have a call to action. We need to be able to say what the next step is. That's going to be your offer. We also, for the people who didn't get it, we want to give them a, what's up kind of thing. And we give them another offer. In both scenarios, I still like to have, with my workshop, I always record them. And I like to make generally 3 highlights. And how I really break them up is I go through the why, the what, and the how. And both of these people are going to be getting these emails together, and each one of them is going to have their CTA. They're just slightly different. So if someone came to the workshop and they came to the workshop and they booked, great, they accomplished the goal. They don't need all of this stuff down here. But if they didn't book, and assuming they're the right patient for you, then they're going to go into this section. So we go through setting this stuff up so you can completely automate the whole process together. But once you end up getting this whole workshop kind of thing sorted out, generally you're going to be able to have a large amount of patients coming to you with very little ad spend, if any ad spend at all. For people who are solo practitioners, a workshop is one of the best ways, in my opinion, to be able to get people at a very low cost into your world and starting to build that preeminence, authority and credibility, so that ultimately you're going to be able to get the right patients in. You're going to pay more premium rates without having to discount and so on. It's one of the first things I did for my practices, and I've stopped and I've had 3 different practices in 3 different places due to moving and so on, and life changes and teaching and stuff like that. So I've utilized this strategy 3 times. I use it a lot with clients, and I have a lot of solo practice owners who are struggling before trying to figure out Facebook ads and all this other confusing stuff, when realistically we can just say, let's do a workshop. Let's get it set up. We follow the framework that we've got laid out that is proven and has worked hundreds of times for myself personally, and they end up getting new patients from this. The example I gave you with the practice owner who is the massage therapist, she solely gets majority, 80% of her new patients come from both referrals and workshops. So she'll get referrals coming into the workshop, and she'll get a couple people who, you know, come in through other sources, website and so on. But 80% of her business generally comes from just doing workshops alone. So it's a really powerful tool, and hopefully found this video really helpful. And if you have any questions specifically about how to use this into the strategies into your practice in order to start getting new patients and be seen as that authoritative figure, so you don't have to discount, you don't have to try to figure out Facebook ads and all this other crazy stuff. You can just get results right away. Just send me a message or comment below, and we will be able to chat and set up a time that we can talk about integrating into your practice. So again, thanks for your time, and hopefully you found this video helpful. Thanks, guys.